Hello and welcome to this Moodle guidance video. In this video today we're going to be looking at the feedback activity that's available within Moodle. And on this example here, on this course, this weekly session of blended learning, you can see at the end of the session I have this thing called feedback here, which is kind of like the orange megahorn as an example. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to use that at the end of the course to either check or consolidate some of the knowledge of learning that's happened in the course, but also as a practical way of tracking the learner's attendance and that they've understood what they're supposed to have been completing. It can also be used for a lot more in-depth activities as surveys and polls, which I'll show you in a second. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go to our Moodle course. As normal, make sure that we're logged in and editing's turned on. And under this first topic, I'm just going to click Add Activity Resource. And as with usual Moodle tools, if we click on the one that says Feedback, then it does actually give you a selection of ideas of how it could be used, and that responses can be anonymous and so on. So that's something to explore, but for the purposes of this demonstration, we're just literally going to use it as an example for learners to demonstrate that they've understood the learning that's taken place. So we've selected Feedback, we're going to click Add. And this first section is the one of two parts of setting up the feedback button. So the name that we're going to give it is we're going to call it Session 1 Feedback. And within the description, I'm going to put please feedback on this session. And I can also display it on the course page if I want to. So as with many other Moodle activities, there is an availability, so you can have this open and available for between certain times, which if you're setting certainly a weekly activity, you might only want this available for that week in question. There are options here for questions and submission settings, and what I want to select here is actually users' names will be logged and showed with answers. If it's anonymous, I can't tell which learners have clicked it, so I need to make sure I select that. I can specify whether I allow multiple submissions and notifications and so on. Then I've also got the choice after submission to show analysis page, which I don't need to because for the purpose of this demonstration and this activity, it's just for me to check that they're attending and feeding back and they're learning. So we can then move on to the common module settings, and these are things like group mode and visibility. Most of these should just stay as they are. And also a feature within Moodle is called activity completion. And the idea with activity completion is that the learners can't mark this as completed until some conditions have been met, which you specify. So I'm going to suggest that this activity is complete once the learners have viewed it and also completed the feedback. So I've given it a title, a description, checked the availability and the settings for anonymity, and then the activity completion. I'm now going to click Save and Return to Course. So we've now completed part 1, which is to set up the feedback activity, which is there in front of me. But what I need to do now is I need to specify the criteria for that. So I'm going to click on the Session 1 feedback activity. And you'll see here, as logged in as admin for your course, you'll be able to see Edit Questions. So I'm going to click Edit Questions. And then this is how I add the individual questions. So from this select box here, you can see I've got a whole range of options, including a page break, information, label, a text answer, or a multiple choice. So I can actually specify a range of different questions. So this could be 4 or 5 questions, it could just be 1. For the purpose of this, I'm just going to use the longer text answer, and it'll load up the specification that I need to complete. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to click that it's required, so the learners can, they can't evade this, they need to answer this because I need to check that they're doing it. And then the question, okay, I'd like them to tell me 3 facts about blended learning. And I can specify the width of the box, the number of lines, so I might want to give them 10 lines, so there's plenty of space for them. And generally speaking, the other values here are only relevant if you've got lots and lots of different questions. So for the purpose of this demonstration, we're just going to stick to the basics. So I'm going to save that question. So now I can see that I've got my question, tell me 3 facts about blended learning, and that's my question set up. So I can go back to the overview of the Session 1 feedback, and if I want to test, I can click Answer the Questions, and you'll see that this is what it will look like for the learners. So tell me 3 facts about blended learning. They would type their answer in and click submit your answers. And then you'd be able to return to this feedback button afterwards at the end of the week, and you'd be able to view the responses by using the show respondents and then the non-respondents. So this will very quickly allow you a quick and easy way to check attendance, to check that the learners are understanding what's happening online, and then you can follow up the actions afterwards through ProMonitor and the attendance marking on your registers and so on. Thank you very much for watching.